Well, the thing I've been working on here is I wanted to make a walking stick for my son. He was in a really bad car accident in November and going to be using a cane to get around, so I figured, well, I can't have my son walking around with just a regular old cane from a regular store, so I figured, well, I'm going to make him something and make him something that kind of appeals to him personally. So let me go grab this piece of wood here and show you kind of where I'm at so far. So my son really likes his Irish heritage, so I'm trying to do a Irish Celtic knot. What I did is I just went through and I pre-drilled holes for the depth that I want to drill here on a drill press so that everything would be all square. And then I actually came through and I hand drew everything on here with a pencil just real lightly. And then I'm going to be coming back through with the chisel, as you can see here. So now I've been coming back through and chiseling all my marks. I've been using just a small hand chisel so I can try to keep the curve. I really like the curved look. I don't want it to be real boxy. So I'm going to end up doing that for the top, about 1/3 of this cane. Then what my plan is here for the top of this, and I left quite a bit of room up on top, is I have a elk antler. And I'm going to use the base of the elk antler as his palm grip on the top. And then down here on the top and on the bottom of this, I'm actually going to do a Celtic knot leather wrap. And I'm going to wrap with leather top and bottom. I'm also going to wrap leather around this at the bottom of it so it transitions from the antler to the wood here. And then I'm going to stain it. I'm thinking I might actually do a little darker stain down in the grooves and then a lighter stain on the outside just to kind of really try to make it pop. So this is where I'm at so far. Once I kind of get to the next step here where I'm going to do sanding and before I throw some stain, we'll do another quick video here and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the handle with it with the antler. Alright, I don't know how well this is going to turn out, but I'm going to kind of try to show you how I've been going along and carving these. Now, I don't have anything fancy. Last night I just went to Home Depot. I just bought some Stanley wood chisels. I just bought a big Stanley, big 1 1/4 inch. So what I end up doing is I take this 1 1/4 inch, the wider one, and we'll just kind of carve through, say, this section here. So what I end up doing with it is getting the angle that I want, and then I just press it in to kind of give me an edge. But I don't go all the way flat because, like I said, I want to try to keep the curve. So I only take it down flat and about half the actual diameter of the blade. And this just kind of gives me an initial stop. Now once I have that, I'm just taking this curved chisel here. And I start off with the sharp edge of this blade. I'm kind of using that as the depth that I initially start with a carve. Keep your hands back out of the way here, obviously. And what I do is I've just been kind of working it, just slow and easy. I don't want to blow out anywhere in the wood. I don't want to really chip it real hard. I want everything to look nice as possible. So now once I kind of have this first one started, now I just come back and I just press down because I want a nice square edge on this. So now that kind of starts the groove. Now you can see now I kind of have an idea where I want to go in a little deeper. So you can see the depth that I have here is where I'm going to end up versus the first one. So now same thing, I go just a hair past where my first one was. Now I'm going to go down a little bit deeper with it. This normally I'll go 1 or 2 cuts down through here. And then same thing, because I want a nice straight edge. Now I come back through and I cut all these off and just want to pull everything out of the way. And I've been using these holes where at the very deepest part of this I want a real slight transition as it kind of comes up here. So that's where I just kind of keep making my way. I'm trying to kind of blend this down into it so it kind of has that almost like a rope kind of a look here as it kind of winds in on itself. So you do want to kind of taper it. And it is a slow going process, but the way it's turning out I am just super happy with. It makes me want to definitely gonna make some more here. I'm gonna kind of take this to the next level. This has been a lot of fun. I've never hand carved anything. This is the first time I've ever actually hand chiseled, and actually didn't own chisels until last night. And I'll tell you what's a lot of fun. It's tedious, but it really kind of gives you more of a lot more hands-on than doing your woodworking, because you're actually feeling your tool going into all the wood, which kind of hard to explain what's kind of fun and creative about that, but taking something from nothing and doing it by hand is pretty cool. Alright, so I just got done doing the sanding and running my Dremel down through it to kind of get the curve going. Trying to kind of transition it so it kind of makes it look like the transitions are dropping in on these braids, so it actually looks like they're intertwining here. So today's going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this and get a couple coats of stain on it, and then I'm going to start working on the handle. Alright, so I just got the first coat of stain on the walking stick here, and it really definitely made those braids kind of pop out a lot better. What I had to do too is right before I did this, I went in just a real light burning kind of down through some of the pattern to try to give it a nice really dark shadow as it comes down through there. And then my wife helped me pick out a pretty dark stain, so I'm going to do 2 or 3 coats with this, and then I might do a light sanding just on the top part of this so the braids stay a little darker, and then I'm going to polyurethane the whole thing to give it that real nice shiny look. So this is what I've decided to make the handle out of. This is the base of an elk antler. I've already kind of drilled my hole in the base, and I taper the hole, which you can kind of see in here, because I'm going to put a large piece of all thread from about halfway through this antler down about 2 or 3 inches into the top of the walking stick, just to make sure I got some good stability. So what I want to do today though is I want to kind of cut this transition down so it's a little more round, and I'm going to taper this edge down here a little bit on the bottom so it just transitions to the wood a little nicer. And then up here on the top of it, what I'm actually going to end up doing is I'm going to sand this down so it's nice and smooth, and along this ridge I'm going to put a coat of epoxy. And we went to Ireland this year and we got some shamrocks from Ireland, and I'm going to inset a shamrock in epoxy right here in the middle of the handle, and then I'm going to build this up with an epoxy level about like this, so he has a nice epoxy top of it, so it'll be nice and soft, and it'll kind of look like the shamrock is kind of floating here on top of the antler. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing sanded down, and let's get the first coat of epoxy on. Last night I got the shamrock put in. We let the epoxy sit overnight, set up really nice, kept it nice and clear. You can really still see the color of the shamrock. So what I did today is I really want to keep pouring this epoxy, because if you see the top edge of this horn here, that's where I want the epoxy to go, is right flush with that. So it kind of gives it a nice, kind of an epoxy like bowl almost, kind of up here on the top, so it'll be smoother in the palm of his hand. So what I did here is I took hot glue and I filled this gap and kind of built like a dam all the way around the top of this where I want the epoxy to stop. And then down underneath the horn, I put it all along the bottom of it, because some of these holes, like these ones here, they go all the way through. So I'm hoping that'll keep the epoxy from leaking through, and will just give me about an 1/8 of an inch all the way around on top of this to kind of give him a really nice smooth top on the handle. So let's go mix up some epoxy and hope for the best here. Hopefully nothing leaks through. Well, here goes nothing. Just got the epoxy all mixed up here. I think that's the worst of them. There's only 2 little tiny air bubbles left down in there. I'm going to let this sit for a few seconds, and I'm going to try to hit it one last time with that torch. Try to get the last few little air bubbles out. Alright, just got the last layer of epoxy put on here. Now I just got to let it sit for 24 hours. It really came out really nice. Looks still nice and clear, nice and reflective, no air bubbles. So we'll see, the clover there still looks real nice. Alright, we're getting almost to the finishing point here with my son's cane. So I just got the bevel all sanded down. I got the bolt kind of figured out where I want it to line up. So here in the base of this antler, you can see I've countersunk everything, so when I epoxy it together, the bolt will sit up higher, and then this will actually sit all the way down flush with this. all the epoxy and everything on this handle all came out great. Still has a nice glassy finish. I haven't even gone through and actually polished this yet, so I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. You can kind of see here on the edge where I had to kind of build a dam. So the hot glue trick did work. Didn't give me quite the perfect rounded edges like I was hoping to, so it did take a little sanding, but all in all, really, really happy with how it came out. So now I'm going to go ahead and get this thing all cleaned up. I'm going to epoxy the handle onto here today. That way I can do one last sanding job on this, and then I can seal the whole thing with polyurethane, and then we'll give it to him for Christmas and get it test fit and get the bottom installed. So let's go ahead and get this all done, and we'll get a picture. And here we are all finished up. I got the antler epoxied to the whole cane here. I put a real thin coat of epoxy on the entire handle just to give it a nice finish and kind of seal everything up. You can see the leather braided strap that I have here to kind of transition it to the cane. Super happy with how everything kind of came out. The stain's really kind of popping down in this little dark spots. Makes it look really, really nice. What I went ahead and did is down here on the base of it, I just installed just a basic gripper stop. You can see where we've been kind of cutting it to transition this here. My son really hasn't got 100% comfortable with it, so we've just been cutting it back until it feels just right. Once it feels good, we'll seal this up and epoxy this on it. Super happy with how this came out. I've never done one of these before. My son absolutely loves it. He's really super happy that the clover comes in top here. You know, just been walking with it here for about a week and really holding up really, really nice. Just super, super happy. I've never done one of these before, but man, what a fun project to give my son for Christmas. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to comment or like this, and if you really enjoyed this project, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and we'll keep up with all my other projects and all my adventures.